I got to say, New Amsterdam Radio is brought to you part by Anchor FM. Have you ever thought about making your own podcast? You see, when I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? And most importantly, I don't want to deal with cables and wires and all those things. You see, the answer to every single one of these questions is pretty simple. Anchor. Anchor is the one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And you can use your phone, which is pretty awesome. Now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. So if you ever wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. What's going on, everybody? It's Flobo, Boyce, and this is another edition of New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives, the show where we get down with creatives. We ask not only the why, but the how. How is everyone doing out there? How are your projects coming together? It's October and the longest year ever in 2020. I hope you guys have plans to go down the rest of the year, finish strong with some brand new ideas. I would love to hear more about that. Hit me up on social media at Flobo Boyce or on Instagram at Flobito. And of course, Flobito.com, where I have new content every week. Today's guest, Joe Townsel, is a man I met because we share mutual friends. We collaborated in a weird, backward way on this writers group called Right Now. And that yielded the first ever, I guess the only currently, but there's one in the works, anthology of scary stories called Anticipation, which I am featured on, which you can check out on Amazon. But Joe Townsel took that ball and ran with it and became a decorated author in his own right. Novellas and collections are already to his name, and a novel is on the horizon. So I really want to sit down with Joe to see how did he do it, how he decided to do something else, like almost a one-off, but somehow took that ball, spiked it in the end zone, and now is running and gunning as a budding author. So without further ado, Joe Townsel right now on New Amsterdam Radio. Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives, and I am being joined by a man that we met through mutual friends, which is what New Amsterdam Radio, New Amsterdam is all about. It's about interconnecting other creatives and seeing them do great things. Joe Townsel is an author, a fantastic fellow, and a strapping young man. How's it going, sir? How's life?
Well, first, Flobo, life was wonderful. I sure appreciate the kind words. Of course, same back at you. I'm a huge fan of yours as well, so I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
I know that saying you're an author is kind of an understatement, because from what I can tell, your author career is fairly budding, but you've written way more than most authors can. Before we get into each particular project, I want to know what was the moment when you're like, yo, this is my creative path, this is my creative outlet, this is what I want to do in my life.
Well, I appreciate you asking. I appreciate the assessment as well. I've had quite a few of those moments throughout my life. Of course, when I was younger, I've always been a creative type, and goes back to my childhood. I am a cartoonist as well, artist in that sense. But most recently, I have to give credit to one of our mutual friends and co-authors, Rolando Herrera, for getting me involved in the Anticipation project about 4 years ago. Yeah, he thought that would be a good yes. Along with talented people like Flobo and Rollo, his wife Leia, and a few others that were just wonderful. And he said, "Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy being part of this." I said, "Yes, absolutely." So that's what kind of got me started in my current role.
Yeah. So before 4 years ago, I remember that project because Rollo, if you guys don't know, I want to have him on the show because he's like such an inspiration, whether he means it or not. He's inspiring you or not. He has this thing where he says, "Hey man, I know you write. Some of this writers group, let's have a writers thing." And I was like, I wrote books, but no one reads them, And it was kind of interesting being in a writers group of different writers of different skill levels, experience, or whatever. But I really felt like in that book, Anticipation, if I can brag, I really felt like your works were the anchor of that piece. I feel like it gave that book the legs to say, hey, look, this is like the top of the class as far as like the ideas, the characterizations, and all that thing. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Well, I sure appreciate that, Flobo. I mean, I had a wonderful time doing it. I got more and more involved in the back end of it too, so that was really fulfilling and educational, and have continued on in my successive works. And again, being collected with authors of your caliber and the others was a real thrill, and I think it just really got those creative juices flowing for me. So thank you.
So you got to talk to me about the writing regimen. You write daily, word counts, however you feel. Are you instinctual? Are you logical?
I think a little bit of all the above. I mean, I like to say, if I may brag, I'm fairly disciplined. I mean, I try. Thank you. I try to make it a daily practice as we should whenever possible. Yeah. There's ebbs and flows, of course. Sometimes, right now, I haven't done a lot of actual writing because I'm doing post-production and marketing work. But yes, I mean, in between, I've got already had some new shorter works on the horizon, and they'll be in the next collection. So it's like a weekly thing, a day-to-day thing, where you say, I feel like writing today, or is it like between these hours I write? I think for like a lot of other people, I take care of my daily business, my day jobs as they are, and so forth. I get that taken care of, and then I think it's pretty much a daily thing for me. I say, okay, this is my time in the evenings. Sure. Everything's done. My conscience is clear. I've taken care of things that are necessary, and I will think about because I think as writers we're always writing in our heads.
Yes. True.
Yes. And so I'm just okay. I want to get this down on down in the computer as soon as possible. And sometimes it's just getting a little bit of the work done for the day. But I would say for me, on a nearly daily routine, 2-3 hours at the least, because once you get going, it's hard to stop.
That's definitely true. And you prefer to write directly into a computer, a laptop, a tablet?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I write directly into the publishable format. I just use Word, okay, but it works real well. And there are templates I used years ago to format the works in anticipation. And I just work directly into it. Sometimes I'll enter a competition that calls for a different format. But yes, always directly into Word. And then, in the given format directly. And that way I'm always have a handle of where I am and what my links are. And, as far as the length of the work and so forth. So that's my modus operandi for the most part.
Okay. Stop the presses. I'm fascinated about that. That's like doing a crossword puzzle in pen. How? How do you write into? I mean, like I guess it's like a training thing, or no, we're just going to do it, or it's kind of like I can't stop this creative flow. Like there's so many authors that write in a notepad, or they have a tablet app, or they do a bunch of things, but you're going straight to the end of the line, dude. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it just seems to work for me. I started doing that fairly early on, and and sometimes you find yourself backpedaling a little bit or backtracking, whatever the word is. Yeah, I should go back a bit and redo that. But of course, that's just the drafting process. But no, I appreciate you're saying so. But that actually has always worked real well for me. Just going right into the given format, and then there's just less work at the post production level, I think.
We were actually on Facebook talking about my unrequited love in parts of Star Trek Discovery. I'm not a huge sci-fi person, but I fell in love with Star Trek Discovery on a foreign trip where the show was streamed on Netflix over there. But I feel like there's like so many people are like, man, welcome to Star Trek fandom, but that show's a little different. I wanted to see like how are people responding to you in those communities. I know with sci-fi we have a very hard look at what's accepted, what's real, what's magic. How's the community affecting your work?
Well, when it comes to popular franchises, especially like Star Trek, like Star Wars, you do get a lot of feedback from friends and fellow writers and so forth, saying, "Well, this is not, like the original. This is not like what I thought it would be." And my response to that, of course, is, "Well, how much do you want to have a rehash versus having something new? I mean, you can admire parts of it, you can not appreciate others." Star Trek Picard, the later one is the same way, and they're really comparing that to the old days.
Yeah,
two different shows. That's basically my take on it. It's like, move forward and evolve, and if it takes a sidestep that you're not crazy about, there's always more.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm totally with that. So, but the community, when they read your books, they're like, "This is awesome," or they're kind of like, "Hey, it's a newcomer doing this genre. I hold sacred." Like, how has that reaction been?
Well, I mean, the reaction is, and admittedly, it's not a huge reaction, only because my readership is growing still.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it will continue to do so. I think people appreciate what I'm doing. I have entered the past works in various competitions, most notably for the Writer's Digest. No big prizes yet, unfortunately, but again, it's a learning process. And I just have been very gratified by some of the feedback I've gotten from those periodicals, those competitions, and so forth.
Yeah.
They really seem to zero in some of the more unique aspects of what I'm trying to do and appreciating that. So that's always very gratifying. And I want to be able to keep that up, obviously.
And your books are self-published, yes?
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about that a bit. Like, I know it's a whole different, my mom would say, pot of pumpkin.
Yes.
A lot of creatives are okay with creating the work. I mean, that's the thing they want to do. But everything after that, the aftercare, the post-production, the marketing, the developing your brand, seems to be a big turnoff. This will navigate me through that. Like, what part with that were easier for you than you thought, or more challenging? The aftercare after you have the manuscript in hand.
Sure, that's a great question. I would say that to some extent, well, let's just say it's gotten easier. It was very challenging the first one or two that I self-published, again, in anticipation being the very first. And so far I'm working with an outfit called Lulu Publishing, which is very popular with self-publishers. Seems to work really well. It's an easy, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Getting it formatted and out there that's ready for global distribution for both ebook and I put it in trade paperback as well. That's very challenging. But I think the biggest challenge, though, is, again, the marketing and getting the word out. So I try to keep up an interesting Facebook page as well as my own website, www.joetownsel.com. Little plug there.
Oh, yeah.
I have an internet presence elsewhere, too. And but like I said, the one thing I really want to delve more into going forward, I haven't had the opportunity as of yet to do things like book signings and other types of promotions. I would really like to do more of that.
Sure.
But yes, it's been a challenge, but a very gratifying and very, very fun one.
So let's talk about it. Your novel in the work now is called Made to Order. Tell me about it. What makes it different than any other book in your bibliography today?
Well, thank you for asking. It is different primarily, right off the top, is that it is a full-length standalone novel. My works to now have been largely anthologies and collections. I've had longer works in some of those, but this is my first. And I hate to use I hesitate to use the word epic, but I'm using it only in terms of length. And the reason it's longer is because it's basically divided into 4 parts, each of which tells a kind of its own story, but are also connected. And as far as the basic plot, well, Made to Order in my universe is the first human android dating service. And it starts off kind of fun and whimsical.
Yeah.
But then over the course of years and decades, this technology begins to get out of hand, and the human race is imperiled, and bad things happen. And behind all of that, there's a sinister force that's just waiting for it all to play out so he can swoop in and take it all.
Do you prefer a physical book? And if you do, paperback, hardback, like you personally as a reader, what do you like to have to experience your stories?
It's a tough call, but I got to say, I love physical books. You don't see it here behind me today, but I typically have like a huge, amount of books on my bookshelves and so forth. But I got to tell you, for reading and comfort these days, I just prefer using my iPad or any other reader. There's so many things you can do with it to make it comfortable to read, as well as holding it. And like I said, my poor mom, she picked up this new one at 640 pages. And said, "Hey, this thing's heavy."
Yeah.
Well, try the ebook.
Yeah, is it hardcover too, or is it paperback only?
It'll be paperback only.
But even still, that's a lot of.
Yeah, I think in hardback you'd have to get a crane or something.
It must be good. But Made to Order it's completely self-contained. Is not going to be a sequel, or is there plot threads open for?
You know what? It's not maddening, if I can say the word. It doesn't irritate you in the sense that he just stopped in the middle, but it could continue. But it's self-contained. I mean, if I never followed up with this scenario or these characters, you would be satisfied.
Well, that's always a good sign of a healthy universe if you can pull tendrils and make new things from it. People still do Harry Potter like spin-offs unofficially.
Sure.
That's always a good sign. Question, it's kind of a vague question, so it's okay if there's no answer for it. But I think a lot of creatives have this, I don't know, egotistical dream, can I say, myself included, that not only we want to create, but we want to create things that has longevity, that has a legacy. When you're dead and gone and the worms eat out your skin, people can still say, wow, he created something awesome. Is that a motivator for you, or is it kind of something you think about and pass aside when you work? I mean, are you creating a path to become a legend in your own right?
A legend in my own right, or you're meaning a legend in my own mind? Well, either way.
Either way.
No, absolutely. I do have an answer for that, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Above and beyond the satisfaction of the creativity and just the accomplishment of what I've written. Absolutely, I would love for this to stand the test of time and get more generations. I mean, that's more generations of readers that are coming along long after I'm part of the scene.
Yeah. So
yes, I for sure, I would love for that to happen, and that's one of the prime motivators I think for becoming more of a wide scale author that reaches a bigger audience. Not for the money, for me, honestly, although that would be nice. Yeah. But no, just something that gets to a lot of people, and you get and I hope that the people that read my works enjoy them, and it sticks with them for a while, right?
Joe, can you tell the people where they can find your other works as well?
I would be delighted. I did a quick plug for it. I'll say it more slowly this time, so it'll be better enunciated.
As long as plug as you want, man.
Well, you see my name on your screen right now. My website address is just that simple. The www.joetownsel.com. That's my main website. I'm also from there. You'll find links to buy it in various formats and retailers. Once those have been pushed out by my publisher, I do have an Amazon author page, just like Flobo. He and I actually appear on the Anticipation and Amazon page.
True story.
Involved. So you'll find me there. You'll find me on all the other retailers. I do have I'm embarrassed to mention this because obviously my friend and colleague here, Flobo, has a tremendous library of videos, but I've got a little dinky YouTube channel that I just added a video for made to order. So you can go check out my 3 videos.
I will check it out today, right after this interview. Keep on the lookout for Joe Townsel. I know big things are coming for that man, that beautiful man and author. And joetownsel.com, that's JoeTownsel.com. His entire bibliography is there. And it's very empowering to see how, where it came down to dedicating yourself to the side craft, quote unquote. It's very easy with some bit of luck and a little bit of dedication, how you can make that your main creative pursuit. And I can't wait to see what comes next for Joe, and hopefully he comes back to New Amsterdam Radio to talk about it. But that's all the time I have this week on this edition of New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. NewAmsterdam.com has the entire archive as well as your favorite podcasting device. And if you want to hear more with my interview with Joe Townsel, check out the Patreon. Join the Boyce through his crew at patreon.com/Flobo Boyce. Bonus content stretching all across my shows and digital channels and content as well. We're talking photo galleries, polls. You get access to my sister podcast, Flobo. Saw it on Netflix about 2 weeks early. Once you become a member on Patreon. Well, until next time, as always, this city is yours.